Hello, Manchester United fans. Welcome to the Manchester Evening News. I am Sam Hutchison, and here is one lesson Erik ten Hag must learn from Real Madrid this season. So, Man United fans, if you haven't managed to catch any of Real Madrid so far this season, I'm going to give you a little overview on how they play and how that could be adapted to Manchester United. They play with a flat back four, and then it could be seen as a 4-4-2 or a 4-3-3 on paper. However, it sets up a lot more similar to a midfield diamond. This manages to get the best out of Real Madrid's best players in Vinicius Jr., Jude Bellingham, Toni Kroos, as well as making up for the deficiencies of having no striker, just like Manchester United. I think this system could really work, and it's not that far a change from Erik ten Hag's obviously preferred 4-3-3. Erik ten Hag's always used what I like to refer to as a 6-8-10 midfield, with one defensive midfielder, one box-to-box midfielder sitting slightly deeper, and then an out-and-out number 10 doing most of the attacking work and linking the attack to the midfield and to the defence. He's tried to use this so far this season with Mount, Fernandes and Casemiro, but Mount is just not working in that number 8 role, and him and Fernandes are taking up far too similar positions in the attack. For Real Madrid, how they're getting across this sort of similar issue is they're playing Jude Bellingham in that hole as the number 10/Zinedine Zidane role, and then they're making up for that with a real defensive out-and-out pivot of Aurelien Tchouameni, who's then playing next to Toni Kroos and Federico Valverde, who, I don't know if you remember, last season played a lot of his football on the right wing for Real Madrid. This system allows Federico Valverde to drift out to the right wing, whilst also maintaining that sort of defensive solidity of having a double pivot of Toni Kroos and Tchouameni. It also means that Real Madrid can get the most out of their attackers. So Vinicius Jr. is probably Real Madrid's best attacker, and he's out and out a left winger. However, he's not really got the players around him that allow him to play that left wing as effectively as we have seen him do it before. Very similar to how Marcus Rashford is playing for Manchester United this season. The system Real Madrid are using is allowing Vinicius to stay high and wide on the left wing, and Rodrigo is doing a lot of the right-sided attacking whilst being backed up by Federico Valverde, which means Rodrigo then drifts inside. Obviously, we've seen Marcus Rashford's best position is off the left wing, very similar to Vinicius, and he likes cutting in onto his right foot and making what is his best run as a diagonal run across the defence. This system would allow Marcus Rashford to play in that left wing role, whilst also allowing Man United's other attackers to play in their preferred positions, and with the return of Højlund from injury, he would also fit in this system. How Real Madrid's defence sets up is Carvajal, Rudiger, Alaba, and then either Fran Garcia or Mendy at left back. This is probably a stronger, more well-known defence than Manchester United's, but it's not that different. Carvajal is getting on now. He's lost his physicality, and he is a lot more defensive, not really bombing down the wing than he used to be. Very much similar to how Aaron Wan-Bissaka excels as a right back. Obviously, there's a physical specimen in Varane or Rudiger from Real Madrid, and then there's a cultured left-footed centre-back next to them in Alaba or Lisandro Martinez, and then a left-back is bombing on, going real box-to-box up and down that left flank and staying quite wide for Real Madrid. I think that's where Luke Shaw plays his best football, and I think that's a job that Luke Shaw could be expected to do after what was a really good season last season. So how that would translate to Manchester United would be Onana in net, Wan-Bissaka, Varane, Lisandro Martinez and Luke Shaw. And then in midfield, it would be Casemiro. Mount would start on the right side of a midfield three. And then I'd start Eriksen or McTominay or Mainu, or if he comes in, Sofiane Amrabat at the left side of a midfield three. And then in attack, I'd be looking at Bruno Fernandes with another versatile attacker on the right and Marcus Rashford starting on his preferred left-hand side. The versatile attacker on the right could be Højlund, say if he comes in and he plays that right-sided attacker. Logic dictates that if you haven't got a striker, you'd find someone to fill that gap. However, what Ancelotti's done is played around that issue that he hasn't got a striker and made two players play more as strikers, but still staying as their preferred wingers. And it has really worked for Real Madrid. They're playing some fantastic football. This versatile attacker could be Antony if he was fit. It could be Højlund if he was fit. It could be Jadon Sancho if he starts hitting good form. It's a real option for a lot of Manchester United's more creative attacking players to sort of make a name for themselves. Sancho, it hasn't really worked out, and Antony's come under a lot of scrutiny so far this season for his not really having any end product. This would allow Antony to get the best of cutting in onto his obviously preferred left foot. And I think the gap that then Bruno Fernandes fills in, I don't know if you've seen Jude Bellingham for Real Madrid this season, but he's playing such an attacking number 10, making such great late runs into the box, that I think Bruno Fernandes could probably play that role similar, if not better, than Jude Bellingham has been playing it for Real Madrid. The midfield, this is where it really is making the difference. It adds that midfield depth. Casemiro has been struggling so far in the Premier League, and he's actually the player who's been dribbled past the most in the entire league. This is because he hasn't got a defensive partner. Mason Mount is wanting to drift into more attacking positions, and when Man United are getting caught on the counter-attack, that means Casemiro is being exposed in that sort of lone central defensive midfielder position. With this system, it would allow Eriksen or Amrabat or McTominay or Mainu to all come in and all make a difference on that left-hand side of midfield. They all do a lot more defensive work than Mason Mount and Bruno Fernandes, but not as much as Casemiro. And that would really mean that Casemiro would have that support and be able to dive into tackles. He wouldn't be the last man in defensive midfield. In defence, it would switch to a three in the back when Man United are in possession, and it would allow Luke Shaw to bomb up the left wing, which would then allow Marcus Rashford to drift inside. This tactical system does take a little bit of getting used to, knowing where all your players are, knowing where all the players are going to be and are meant to be. However, I think it's not that big a switch from Erik ten Hag's preferred 4-3-3 system that we've seen him use at Ajax and all of last season at Manchester United. Some of the biggest scrutiny that Manchester United have been under for the first couple of games of the season has been the best players aren't playing in their best positions. We've seen a front three of Garnacho, Rashford and Bruno Fernandes, with Rashford starting up front and Bruno Fernandes starting on the right. Bruno Fernandes' best position is as that out-and-out number 10. Marcus Rashford's best position is as a left winger. I would like to see Rashford start on the left wing and Bruno Fernandes in that 10. And I think that's what Manchester United fans at home would also like to see. We have also seen Mason Mount drift out to the right, especially under Thomas Tuchel at Chelsea. He played as a sort of one of those two number 10s in a 3/5 at the back system under Tuchel at Chelsea, and it allowed him to get the best out of what his crossing and his attacking sort of prowess is. He was being really creative without really getting too many goals and drifting out to that right-hand side and putting a cross in with his preferred right foot. It could make him live up to the number 7 that he has on the back of his shirt. Now, obviously, there is the elephant in the room is Højlund's return. It is likely that Erik ten Hag will go back to a 4-3-3 out and out with Højlund as the central striker and Antony on the right and Rashford on the left. However, this system still works because Antony's been quite disappointing so far this season. He was disappointing in pre-season as well. This system still works with the return of the injured Højlund. Højlund would then play as the sole striker, and it would allow Mount and Fernandes to both drift out to the right a bit more without either of them actually playing as an out-and-out right winger. The system's not completely different from a 4-3-3. It just offers a lot more midfield depth and a lot more attacking prowess that could be exploited. And it is actually a very adaptable system. It would only take one substitution to switch to Erik ten Hag's preferred 4-3-3 or switch completely into a defensive sort of 4-4-2 low block. This substitution could be a variety of players, but it really allows Manchester United to switch systems depending on what the game demands. Check us out on YouTube, Spotify and Apple Podcasts for the Manchester is Red podcast. Check us out on Twitter and Facebook, and now we are on TikTok as well. But Man United fans, thank you for watching.